Hi everyone, Bernice speaking. Hope you like my antiquated headphones, but I'm finding that if I just talk, the sound quality is very poor. So I've decided I'm going to wear these so that you'll get the message hopefully clearly. Today I'm briefly going to touch on anxiety and panic attacks and just talk to you about a method of managing the symptoms or the actual panic attack. Now, I know there's a lot out there and, all really good stuff out there, but I'm just going to explain or talk to you about what worked for me when I was in my early 20s and I really had a severe attack of anxiety. And well, definitely panic attacks. I had three small children, and I couldn't even think about getting out of bed. I struggled with everything. I'd wake up in the mornings and think, I wouldn't think, the moment the thought came into my head, I panicked. It was just one panic attack after another, or it just seemed like that. It just seemed like it was continuous. And I'd be so exhausted before I even got out of bed, and I'd have to get the children ready. Two were going to school, and my daughter was still at home. So anyway, I couldn't take medication. It didn't work for me. It um, made my symptoms worse. So that was out of the equation. So what happened was I got a book from somebody uh, by Dr. Claire Weeks about freedom from nervous illness, and it seemed too simple. I read it. I don't quite how I managed to do that, but I did, and it. The principle of it was that you stopped, you accepted, you floated, and you let time pass. Very simplistic, I know, but when you're in this state where your mind just won't settle down, won't quieten, you feel disassociated from everything. Your concentration is very, very poor. You're exhausted. You're shaking all the time. You're having trouble breathing. Your palpitations, nauseated, unable to eat. Just all these symptoms and that. Simple. It had to be simple, and it was. Basically, you stopped where you were, not focusing on the moment, but you accepted what was happening within you. You accepted everything that was going on, the thoughts that were going through your head, you accepted it all. You just said to yourself, well, I just said to myself, accept. That's all I could do, accept. Didn't appear to be doing anything, but obviously it was. It was that not focusing and stopping every second and focusing on the thought and thinking and the feelings and thinking, God, they're happening again. And, oh, I've got to stop them, I've got to stop them. Because with that, of course, you're making the symptoms worse. You're actually creating what you're trying to get, you want to get rid of. So the acceptance um, of what's happening to you without actually putting your full attention on what's going on in your body and what's going on in your mind. So just think of it as clouds floating across the sky, rather than focusing on one specific cloud. You just let them float in and float away, float in, float away. So that's what I used to do, or that's what I did with my thoughts. And then the next thing, we're talking about floating. The way I went through the floating process was I imagined a door, and there was beautiful sort of cloud, um, misty cloud in the doorway, and I imagined myself floating through the door. So it was just like I was floating through the door, and on the other side of this door there was peace and sanity. And letting time pass is the last one. Allowing time to heal. you've got yourself, it's taken a while for you to get your nerves to that extent when you're that sensitive to the thought patterns that you have and your emotions that you, everything triggers that. You've got to give time for those to calm down, for those raw nerves that have been firing all the time, to calm down. Now, although it did seem like it was never ending, every nerve impulse only lasts for a certain period of time. So the chemical gets released and then the nerve, the actual impulse stops, although it appears that it keeps going. So it's it doesn't it's not continuous, although it feels that way. So you've got to allow time for those nerves to calm down, quieten down. I was very surprised though that within a week I was only having maybe two or three um, of these panic attacks. And I played a little game with myself. It was, when I could feel them coming up, and rather trying shoving them down, I just said, oh great, it gives me a chance to practice this new technique that I've learned, or these new steps that I've learned. It gives me a chance to practice them. And yeah, it had less and less power over me. And I actually started to look forward to getting up in the mornings and getting into my life. And because of that, I gained so much confidence that I had been lacking most of my life. Yeah, I felt really confident and in control. It didn't happen overnight. Don't imagine it did. It was months. It took me about a year to be fully functional. Well, that's not really the word, but to really be on top of everything. And in that time, I took up exercise, or took up running again, because that's what had always made me feel good about myself. And that helped because, of course, the nice, happy um, endorphins and that you release through running or release through exercise, they certainly help my mood. So, yes, I'm hoping this helps. And you take care.